Breaking Arsenal news. Gunners, something huge is developing behind the scenes at Arsenal, and this could become one of the most interesting transfer stories of the summer. Arsenal are not just looking at one major move. The club is reportedly exploring two very different but potentially important deals that could completely change Mikel Arteta's squad depth. The names involved: former Manchester City defender John Stones and Newcastle United superstar midfielder Bruno Guimaraes. Two players, two positions, two possible solutions for Arsenal's biggest concerns. If you love Arsenal as much as we do, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's dive straight into today's massive Arsenal news. Come on, you Gunners, but are these realistic transfers? Could Arsenal really bring both players to the Emirates? Let's break down everything happening right now. First story. Arsenal turn to John Stones after Saliba injury fears. Arsenal's defensive situation has suddenly become a major talking point after concerns surrounding William Saliba's back injury. Saliba has been one of the most important players in Mikel Arteta's project. Since becoming a first-team regular, the French defender has transformed Arsenal's defence and become one of the best centre-backs in world football. His partnership with Gabriel Magalhaes has been one of the biggest reasons behind Arsenal's defensive strength. But now, reports suggest there are fears that Saliba's injury could be more serious than first expected. Some sources claim the injury could potentially require surgery, which could keep him out for several months. For Arsenal, losing Saliba would be a huge blow. The Gunners are competing at the highest level, fighting for Premier League success and European trophies, and a long-term absence for their defensive leader means Arteta must look for solutions. And this is where John Stones enters the conversation. John Stones, the surprise Arsenal option. According to reports, Arsenal have explored the possibility of signing John Stones on a short-term contract. The England international recently became a free agent after leaving Manchester City following the expiration of his contract. At 32 years old, Stones may not represent a long-term project, but Arsenal's situation is different. The Gunners are not necessarily searching for a player to build around. They are looking for experience. They are looking for someone who can immediately step into a difficult situation. And John Stones fits that profile. During his time at Manchester City, Stones developed into one of the most technically gifted defenders in English football. He is comfortable playing as a traditional centre-back, but he has also shown incredible tactical intelligence operating in midfield areas during Pep Guardiola's system. That versatility is something Mikel Arteta values. Arteta wants defenders who can understand different roles, a player who can defend, build from the back, play under pressure, and adapt tactically. John Stones has experience doing exactly that. Why would Arsenal consider Stones? Some fans might ask, why sign a 32-year-old defender when Arsenal usually target younger players? The answer is simple: experience. Arsenal already have young defenders with huge potential. But when you lose a player like Saliba, you need someone who understands pressure, someone who has played Champions League football, someone who has won major trophies, someone who can walk into the dressing room and immediately provide leadership. John Stones has won multiple Premier League titles. He has played in major international tournaments with England. He understands what it takes to compete at the highest level. For a short-term emergency deal, this could make sense. If you are enjoying today's Arsenal transfer update, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because Arsenal Daily Talk is bringing you all the latest news from the Emirates. Now let's continue with this huge double transfer story involving John Stones and Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes, the midfield dream that could become reality. Gunners, for many Arsenal supporters, the name Bruno Guimaraes has been linked with the club for a long time. The Brazilian midfielder has become one of the Premier League's most complete midfielders since joining Newcastle United. He is not just a player who controls games, he changes games. His energy, aggression, technical quality, passing range and leadership have made him one of the most respected midfielders in England, and now reports are suggesting that Bruno has communicated his desire to join Arsenal this summer. Imagine the possibility. Bruno Guimaraes wearing the Arsenal shirt. Bruno controlling the midfield at the Emirates. Bruno playing alongside Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. For many Arsenal fans, this is the type of signing that could take the team to another level. Why does Arteta like Bruno Guimaraes? Mikel Arteta has always wanted midfielders who can do multiple jobs. Modern football is not just about scoring goals. A midfielder must defend, create, control possession, and handle pressure. Bruno fits this profile perfectly. When Arsenal build from the back, they need players who can receive the ball under pressure. When Arsenal lose possession, they need players who can win it back quickly. When Arsenal attack, they need players who can break defensive lines. Bruno offers all of these qualities. His ability to recover the ball is one of his biggest strengths. He is aggressive but intelligent. He fights for every challenge but also has the technical ability to play beautiful football. This is exactly the type of player Arteta admires. The dream midfield partnership. Gunners, imagine this midfield combination. Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, Martin Odegaard. This would be one of the most complete midfield units in European football. Declan Rice provides defensive security and physical dominance. Bruno provides intensity, creativity and balance. Odegaard provides vision and attacking intelligence. Together they would give Arsenal everything needed to compete against the biggest teams in Europe. This is why Arsenal supporters are excited about this possibility. But there is one massive obstacle. Newcastle United. Newcastle's strong position. Newcastle United are not interested in losing their captain. Bruno signed a long-term contract, which gives Newcastle a very strong negotiating position. His current deal runs until 2030, with options included. That means Newcastle do not have pressure to sell. They can demand a huge transfer fee. Reports suggest Newcastle's valuation is around £90 million. For Arsenal, that creates a difficult situation. The Gunners have been carefully managing their finances and cannot simply spend unlimited amounts. They must consider financial fair play rules and squad planning. The £90 million question. The biggest question is Bruno Guimaraes worth £90 million? From a football perspective, many fans would argue yes. Elite midfielders are extremely difficult to find. A player who can perform in the Premier League, Champions League and international football is rare. But from Arsenal's perspective, every major investment must be carefully calculated. The club has other areas to strengthen. They need attacking options, they need squad depth, they may need defensive reinforcements depending on Saliba's injury situation. So spending £90 million on one player could affect other plans. Arsenal's secret negotiations. Although Arsenal have not officially submitted a bid, reports claim the club has been exploring the possibility through intermediaries. This means conversations may already be happening behind the scenes. Transfer negotiations often begin long before an official offer arrives. Clubs speak with agents, they understand player preferences, they evaluate financial possibilities, and this could be what Arsenal are currently doing. The important thing is that Bruno's reported interest changes the situation. If a player wants a move, negotiations can become easier. However, Newcastle remain firm. They do not want to lose their star midfielder. What would Bruno bring to the Emirates? Let's look deeper at what Arsenal would be signing. First, leadership. Bruno is not afraid of responsibility. At Newcastle, he became a leader on and off the pitch. Second, mentality. He plays with passion. He understands the intensity of Premier League football. Third, versatility. He can play as a defensive midfielder, a central midfielder, or in a more advanced role. For Arteta, having a player who can adapt tactically is extremely valuable. But will Arsenal actually make the move? This is where the story becomes complicated. Arsenal are interested. The player's situation has created excitement, but Newcastle's price remains a major obstacle. The Gunners may need to negotiate creatively. Could there be player exchanges? Could Arsenal wait until later in the window? Could Newcastle reduce their demands? At this stage, nothing is decided, but one thing is clear. Bruno Guimaraes remains one of the most fascinating transfer situations involving Arsenal this summer. And remember, Gunners, a possible John Stones short-term defensive solution plus Bruno Guimaraes adding elite quality in midfield would represent a huge statement from Mikel Arteta. But can Arsenal complete both deals? In part 3, we will analyse how John Stones would fit Arsenal's system, Bruno Guimaraes compared with Arsenal's current midfielders, the realistic chances of both transfers happening, fans' reactions, and what these signings could mean for Arsenal's title ambitions. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Gunners. You are watching Arsenal Daily Talk, bringing you the latest Arsenal transfer news, rumours, and everything happening around the Emirates. If you want daily Arsenal updates, make sure you subscribe and become part of the Gunners community. Now let's continue with this massive double transfer story. John Stones, Bruno Guimaraes. Two experienced Premier League stars, two completely different positions, but both could solve important problems for Mikel Arteta. John Stones. How he could fit into Arteta's system, Gunners. One thing we know about Mikel Arteta is that he loves defenders who can do more than just defend. The Arsenal manager wants players who can build attacks from the back. Players who are calm under pressure. Players who understand positioning. And this is exactly where John Stones could be interesting. During his Manchester City career, Stones became famous for his intelligence on the ball. He was not only a defender who cleared danger, he was a player who helped create attacks. He could step into midfield, he could break pressing lines, he could help his team control possession. These qualities are very similar to what Arteta demands from his defenders. Stones and Gabriel. A possible partnership? If William Saliba is unavailable for a significant period, Arsenal would need someone who can immediately handle pressure. A partnership between Gabriel Magalhaes and John Stones would bring experience and quality. Gabriel provides physical power. He dominates aerial battles. He is aggressive and strong. Stones provides composure. He reads the game. He can progress the ball. Together they could offer a balanced defensive partnership. Of course, this depends on Stones' fitness and Arsenal's final decision. At 32 years old, medical checks would be extremely important. Arsenal cannot afford another injury problem. Why a short-term deal makes sense. Some supporters may question bringing in an older player, but this situation is different. Arsenal are not necessarily looking for a 5-year project. They are looking for immediate cover. A short-term contract could be the perfect solution. Stones could provide Premier League experience, Champions League experience, leadership in the dressing room, tactical flexibility, emergency defensive cover. For a club competing for major trophies, experience can be priceless. Now let's return to Bruno Guimaraes. While John Stones could solve a defensive problem, Bruno Guimaraes could completely change Arsenal's midfield. The Brazilian is a player who combines technical ability with incredible fighting spirit. He is the type of midfielder who can control the rhythm of a match. Bruno versus Arsenal's current midfield options. Arsenal already have quality midfielders. Declan Rice has become one of the best defensive midfielders in Europe. Martin Ødegaard is the creative leader. But football at the highest level requires competition and depth. A player like Bruno would give Arteta another elite option. Imagine a big Champions League night. Arsenal need control. They need players who can handle pressure. They need midfielders who are not afraid of the biggest moments. Bruno has already shown he can perform in difficult Premier League matches. Arteta's tactical dream. Mikel Arteta's football is based on control. Control of possession. Control of space. Control of the opponent. Signing players like Bruno Guimaraes fits this philosophy. He can press, he can recover the ball, he can move between defensive and attacking roles. He can give Arsenal more solutions against different opponents. Against defensive teams, his creativity helps. Against aggressive teams, his intensity helps. Against elite teams, his mentality helps. But can Arsenal sign both players? This is the biggest question. Bringing in John Stones and Bruno Guimaraes would send a huge message. It would show Arsenal are serious about winning trophies, but financially it would be complicated. Bruno alone could cost around £90 million based on Newcastle's valuation. Stones would likely require a smaller financial commitment because he is a free agent, but wages and contract structure would still matter. Arsenal must balance ambition with smart squad management. The transfer window battle. The summer transfer window is always about timing. Clubs make decisions, players make decisions, agents negotiate. One phone call can change everything. For Bruno, the player's reported desire to join Arsenal could become an important factor. For Stones, Arsenal's need for defensive cover could accelerate discussions. But until official agreements are reached, both stories remain ongoing. Gunners, imagine this. A squad with William Saliba returning stronger, John Stones providing experience, Gabriel leading the defence, Declan Rice controlling midfield, Bruno Guimaraes adding quality, Martin Ødegaard creating chances. This would be a squad built to compete on every front. But the question remains, will Arsenal make these moves happen? Or will Newcastle and other clubs stop the Bruno dream? And will John Stones choose Arsenal over other interested teams? In part 4, we will cover the final chapter. Final verdict on both transfers, what Arsenal fans should expect next. Possible starting 11 with Stones and Bruno dramatic closing message for Gunners. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Gunners. This is the final part of today's huge Arsenal transfer update. John Stones, Bruno Guimaraes. Two names that could create a massive summer statement if Arsenal manage to make these deals happen. John Stones, smart short-term solution. Final Arsenal transfer verdict, Gunners. These two stories show one important thing. Arsenal are looking for solutions. The club wants to compete at the highest level. And Mikel Arteta understands that winning trophies requires quality depth. John Stones could provide immediate defensive security. Bruno Guimaraes could provide a new level of midfield quality, but negotiations, finances and player decisions will determine whether these moves become reality. For now, Arsenal fans must wait and watch closely. The summer transfer window is far from over and more surprises could still come from the Emirates. Gunners, let us know in the comments. Would you sign John Stones as Saliba's cover? Should Arsenal spend big money on Bruno Guimaraes? Can these two players help Arsenal win major trophies? Don't forget to subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk for more breaking Arsenal transfer news, rumours and updates. Come on, you Gunners!